Yeah. Dirty's on the left side. Bad man, jammer from the get-go, get low. Tell them something that they didn't know. I'm a fan of the give and go, pick and roll. Travel, never picked up on my pivot though. It's typical, that's it, let's go.
What's good everyone, Luke here and welcome to the legendary Metropolis Studios in West London for a very special video. The reason we're here is largely why I wanted to be a sound engineer in the first place. The records I grew up with and ultimately fell in love with are the result of the very thing we're here to work with today, and I cannot wait to show you what we've got.
Yeah. Dirty's on the left side. Bad man, jammer from the get-go, get low. Tell them something that they didn't know. I'm a fan of the give and go, pick and roll. Travel, never picked up on my pivot though. It's typical, that's it, let's go. I don't complain, I don't rock a chain. I just reload these flows, cock and name. I'm taking what's mine, I got a lot to claim. Throwing dirt on the left, they try and knock my name. But I stand up tall with my hands up, y'all. Middle fingers to them all, y'all can lick my. Nah, let me switch it, I'm a ball, I'ma get it. I'm appalled and I'm livid that y'all stalling the mission. Cause I gotta win, I gotta win, I gotta win again. Ain't no swallowing the bottle till it's hollow in the end. Put it all into this pan while I sing it to the mic. Face my dark side and had to bring it to the light like.
We're here today because we felt it only right to introduce the SSL 4KG alongside the original in its full glory. The culmination of the 4000 series console in its final form, the immortal and iconic G series, now available directly in your DAW, meticulously modelled by the masters of analog to accurately recreate the magic of the 4000G in all its glory. Building on the success of the 4000E, the 4000G debuted in 1987's AES convention in New York and soon earned its reputation as the ultimate mixing console. With a redesigned EQ circuit, the 292, dubbed the Pink Knob, as well as the multiple circuit refinements and a powerful yet intuitive automation system, the G series console had a sound completely unmatched that saw its installation in top-tier studios around the world, such as Olympic Studios in London and the Record Plant in LA. And with its unmatched sonic stature and incredible versatility, the 4KG transcends genres, shaping countless chart-topping hits across pop, rock and hip-hop. The 4000G became the console for renowned engineers like Andy Wallace, Spike Stent and Dr. Dre, leaving its sonic imprint on timeless records such as Nirvana's Nevermind, Massive Attack's Mezzanine, and Dr. Dre's The Chronic and Eminem's The Slim Shady LP. And in more recent times, records like Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly, Mixed by Ali, which is a personal favourite and continues the G-Series legacy as a defining part of hip-hop history. The SSL 4KG plugin builds similarly upon the legacy of the 4000 series consoles, taking the best parts of its predecessors and evolving it to new heights, culminating in the ultimate 4K console. Because of this, the 4KG shares a lot of features with the previous generation console, but with a few key differences to make it stand apart. Starting with the input stage, the mic preamp was completely redesigned for the G-Series consoles to be low noise and transformerless in design. However, some customers were known to custom order the E-Series transformer pre's, and for this reason we've included the same saturation mic amp control from the 4KE plugin. However, what is unique about the 4KG is the variable impedance control, a feature which was first seen when SSL released their first ever piece of outboard, the FX383, which was literally a G-Series channel strip put into a rack-mountable chassis. The variable impedance control, sweepable between 1 ohm and 6.3 kilo ohms, allows for an exaggerated tonal shift and bandpass qualities for further creative control over the source signal. Moving to the left of the channel strip, the 4KG features two selectable EQ circuits. First, the new 292, dubbed the Pink Knob, with distinctive multiplier and divide options for the two midbands. A unique feature of the Pink Knob circuit is the proportional Q of the midbands, whereby small amounts of boost and cut result in a wider Q as you apply more extreme gain changes. As mentioned, the button here divides the low mid frequency by a factor of 3, allowing the LMF section to be used in the LF region. For example, the LF controls can be set to give a warmer overall sound and then boost the low end, while the LMF control could then remove any unwanted resonances, utilising narrower Q when boosted or cut to the extreme. In contrast, this button for the HMF multiplies the high mid frequency by a factor of 3 and allows the HMF section to be used in the HF region, where you might want to use it to control an unwanted resonance with great accuracy, while still using the HF control to add a high-end boost. Another really nice feature of the 292 EQ that was often favoured over the E-Series EQ for certain mixing applications was its more musical sounding shelves. Due to its undershoot-overshoot characteristics, this effectively introduced a small anti-curve to the shelf when boosting or cutting, and features a second-order shape rather than the first-order shelving featured in the E-Series 242 Black Knob EQ. But just like many custom spec G-Series consoles at the time, we've included the option to switch in the classic E-Series 242 black knob EQ, returning to a more surgical curve response and constant Q, and the return of the bell options for the high and low bands for more creative tonal shape options. Jumping over to the dynamic section, the 4KG, just like its analog inspiration, retains the familiar compressor and gate layout as the E-Series, and when working in fast mode, both compressors remain imperceptibly similar. However, when working in normal mode, the G-Series is distinctly tighter, with the attack speed being noticeably quicker than the aforementioned E-Series and with an overall more linear transient control, a result of the constant refinement that the console undertook throughout its production. Next, we then come to the VCA output stage, where the 4KG accurately models the VCA from the console, adding further subtle harmonic content to the signal in a slightly more refined way than its predecessors. And remember, we can use the VCA level in conjunction with the output trim control to really saturate the output stage and trim back before your channel output to retain a working level whilst maximising the sonic imprint that the 4KG is capable of. Finally, we can look at the plugin's routing table, giving us the option to reorder the processing block and move the filters to the dynamics path for creative control of the sidechain source. And of course, the 4KG is 360 enabled, so works perfectly with the SSL UC1 and 360 plugin mixer for true analog style workflow and getting hands-on with the plugins in any DAW. But I bet you're thinking, that's all cool, but what does it sound like? Well, let's pull up a session that I've been working on and let's see what we can do with it. Okay, for this demo of the 4KG, I've got a track by CK Audio featuring Dirties on the left, and it's the perfect track to demonstrate the 4KG plugin. Thanks guys for letting me utilize this for the demo. The track is wicked, and we're taking it back to that early 90s sort of boom bap vibe with a modern edge. Absolutely perfect for the 4KG. We get to play with the saturation, the real tone shaping of the compression, and the impedance control feature, which is really, really cool. And I'm doing some really cool things with it. So first off, let's have a listen to the track. And this is with the 4KG everywhere, every single channel, really leaning into that sort of early 90s sound. So let's go for it from the top.
Yeah. Dirty's on the left side. Bad mama jammer from the get-go, get low. Tell them something that they didn't know. I'm a fan of the give and go, pick and roll. Travel never picked up on my pivot though. It's typical, that's it, let's go. I don't complain, I don't rock a chain. I just reload these flows, cock and name. I'm taking what's mine, I got a lot to claim. Throwing dirt on the left, they try and knock my name. But I stand up tall with my hands up, y'all. Middle fingers to them all, y'all can lick my. Nah, let me switch it. I'm a ball, I'ma get it. I'm appalled and I'm livid that you're stalling the mission. Cause I gotta win, I gotta win, I gotta win again. Ain't no swallowing the bottle till it's hollow in the end. Put it all into this pen when I sing it to the mic. Face my dark side and had to bring it to the light.
Cool. So the 4KG is doing everything in this track. I've got a little bit of other processing going on, but we're really leaning into the sound of this plugin. And let's sort of walk through the process of how I've got there. So start off with the drums. Let me just solo these up. I've used the 4KG on subgrouping my kick and my snare, and then sort of the drum loop and ancillary sections. But the first thing I really wanted to show you was what I've done to really bring out the sustain and the grittiness of the snare. So I've soloed out the drums. Let's just have a quick listen to the drums on their own. Now what I've done is subgrouped all of these snare sends over to a separate 4KG channel. Now I've done a bit of processing just to sort of gate the send input. But what you're going to notice here, now actually let me just turn this off, but we'll keep the track playing. You're going to see that I've done something with the pink knob EQ that's very, very specific to this EQ. I've absolutely cranked the high mid frequency, and as we've boosted the Q, it really narrows to a point. And then I can use the frequency knob here to really feel out where we want to crank this. Now, at the moment you can't hear this, so just listen to the snare before I add the processing in. Now, this is what I'm adding to it. And you can hear that sustain is really brought forward, and what I'm doing here is finding this frequency point and I've cranked it. So if I bring that out, you're hearing a little bit of the ring of the snare, but you're not really hearing that full, really nasally upper mids body. Crank that in and into the compressor, really brings out the sustain. It's almost like a pseudo reverb tail, but without any sort of washiness to it. And then we just add that back into the main drum groove, and it gives that really sort of broken 90s sound to it. That sort of boom bap aesthetic. Now we bring that crunch in, and we can just tuck that in underneath the rest of the drums. And it really brings a character into these drums. The sort of thing, when you take it away, you just lose something, but I've had to do a little bit more than just the EQ boost. So let's just roll that back. Now, the next important thing we've done with this, if we just solo up the drums again, is really crank the mic pre-saturation. So this is going back to the E-series sort of saturation that we've added. But it's this impedance control that's really doing the heavy lifting, and this is brand new for the 4KG. If I take this impedance out, you're getting a real sharp nasally top end, and that's going to be really overpowering in the mix. But by bringing the impedance control in and just bringing that sort of really low, it's essentially band passing that snare, and we're just getting that real nice even roll off in the top and the low end, so it just tucks it into the mid-range. And alongside the compressor, just really slamming that, max the threshold, infinite ratio, and the release is just sort of medium fast, just to bring out that body. So let's take this out. And this is still with the snare sort of sent to a group. It's clean. That's really bringing that sort of, that groove and back in. So that's the bulk of the drum sound with that sort of snare offshoot. But I've got this mic pre-saturation going on throughout the drums, and that's a real aesthetic of the G-series tracks from the early sort of 90s, that Dre sound of really pushing the drums and finding a real level, and that saturation coming in, both from the mic pre, but the impedance control, and just generally absolutely slamming the drums into the compressor, and then pulling out all of these sort of intricate little resonances and peaks out of the EQ, and just being able to really sculpt that in a musical way. That's quite a lot of drum talk. Let's move on to the bass. So let's have a listen to the bass without any processing, just to sort of see where it sits in the mix. Like, it's there, you can sort of hear it, but it's not really doing anything of any sort of worth in the groove context. So let's bring this in. We're not adding any gain here. But that musical curve of the sort of low shelf, just really pulling out for the drums, giving that space for the kick, and then boosting up in the second and third harmonics around 200 hertz. And then the compressor just really nailing that down with a really flat control over the dynamic content. It's just really pushing those sort of bass tones forward and really helping sustain ring through without losing any of the texture. So take that out again. And you'll notice we're not really adding any gain here. I've got the VCA pushing up 6 dB on the fader, just to add a little bit more saturation from that sort of VCA, the modelled harmonics that we've got. And then just bringing that trim down just to sort of offset it. I'm trying to make sure that we're retaining the gain structure so they're matched, but obviously we're adding a lot more information and harmonic content through the plugin. And that's really just letting that sing through in the mid-range. Everything just bringing it together, and that's just sitting beautifully in the track. So yeah, that's the bass processing. Okay, so let's jump in and listen to the vocals in this track. Now, when I first got the vocal, they sound really cool, but they were almost a little bit too thin, and the amount of saturation or weight we've added to the rest of the track, they were starting to get lost. So the really cool thing about the 4KG's pink knob EQ circuit is these multipliers and divider options alongside the shelf curves with the anti-curve. For vocals especially, it really allows me to accentuate areas of the vocal. Sort of on the low frequency shelf, I'm going to boost the low mids of the vocal, then filter out any of the sort of the rumbliness. But that's going to give me a little bit of a notch in the sort of upper mids, maybe sort of the 2 to 400, where the mud starts to build in. So naturally going to get the chest weight without sort of the flabbiness and the muddiness that usually comes with it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of top end, but utilize the multiplier for the high mid frequencies to like reduce any sort of sharp resonances and overly sibilant sort of sounds. Let's have a listen to it and we'll work through the vocal together.
Left side, bad man, jammer from the
So this is, I've got a bit of compression and saturation going on, but this is the vocal with no EQ.
Give and go, pick and roll, travel, never picked up on my pivot though. It's typical, that's it, let's go. I don't complain, I don't rock a chain. I just reload these flows, cock and name. I'm
gonna put that filter about 200 hertz and let's bring the EQ in.
Try knock my name, but I stand up tall with my hands
boosting those sort of the fundamental and the sort of the early harmonics of the vocal with the shelf and the filter just sort of moving that rumble. It's now feeling a little bit dark, so let's go and add some sort of big, wide, sort of sweeping top end. And we want just the air bands right at the top. So that's quite an extreme amount of boost I'm giving there. So now it sounds like it's got air. There's a little bit of sharpness, so let's go ahead, put in this multiplier for the upper mids and find that biting point.
I'm appalled and I'm livid that you're stalling the mission, cause I gotta win again. Ain't no swallowing the bottle till it's hollow in the end. Put it all into this pen when I sing it.
So straight up, no EQ, we're getting, almost feels like it's in a phone sort of box.
I'm a fan of the give and go, pick and roll,
EQ in, that low mids are pushing forward, giving us the bass weight.
Don't complain, I don't rock a chain. I just
boosting that vocal in. Let's listen to this in context with the track now. No EQ. Sits really far back in the mix. Now we're just getting that clarity through. And it's crazy because just using the UC1, I'm not even really thinking about it now, I've added, what, like 15 dB in the top shelf, and that's crazy. Like, I wouldn't do that naturally, but having my hands on UC1 just gives me the confidence to use it like an analog console, and I've just boosted to where it sounds right, not where I thought it should sound right. And that just goes to prove that getting hands on is giving me the flexibility to really listen to the song. So yeah, I'm not even thinking about that, but just seeing that on screen is, wow, 15 dB in the shelf and it's still smooth. But what we can do now, let's actually turn on the impedance. So we've got the impedance here. Use that to tuck in a bit of that top end. If we can crank that right, bring that a bit lower. We're cranking with the EQ, then sort of bandpassing it with the impedance control, just to really sort of smooth that out and give a really nice articulated top end without the sort of sharpness that we normally get if we did that with any other EQ. I'm a fan of the give and go, pick and roll, travel, never picked up on my pivot though. It's typical, that's it, let's go. I don't complain, I don't rock a chain. I just reload these. Probably a little bit overcooked. I'm taking what's mine, I got a lot to claim. Throwing dirt on yeah, wicked. Loving that, that sounds great. Stand up tall with my hands up, y'all. Middle fingers to them all, y'all can lick my man. Let me switch it, I'm a ball, I'ma get it. I'm appalled and I'm livid that you're stalling the. So many of you might have seen my other videos and might know that I generally mix on an analog console. I really do enjoy the tactility of being able to grab a fader, grab a sort of dynamic section, or move the EQ in a way that lets the music sort of resonate with me. I'm very much of the opinion that mixing is an art of making the sort of emotional context of a song move with you. It's not just all about the technicalities. And the interesting thing, like you've just seen, I've pushed the plugin way further than I would naturally push a plugin, and it hasn't broken up, it just felt natural, it felt right. but it just feels like an extension of the console, and I get the same joy from using the plugin in this way with the UC1 as I do when I'm mixing on a 4KG or an E or my Origin or anything like that. It's just a continuation of the same mindset, and it really feels that way. And that might sound like hyperbole, but I genuinely mean it. Like, this feels like I was working on the same channel over here or over here. And I can't give it any more kudos than that. It brings the whole workflow together in a way that I'm not having to look at the screen. I'm just enjoying it. I'm just having fun. I'm just being able to really manipulate the audio in a way that feels natural to me. So what do you think? Where does the 4KG fit in comparison with the other SSL 360 channel strips? Well, the best way to find out if you're already a Complete Access bundle subscriber is to head over to your Solid State Logic or Slate Complete Access download manager, where the 4KG is ready and waiting to try alongside CS2 and the 4K B&E channel strips and discover your own ultimate SSL console workflow. Alternatively, if you prefer a perpetual license, 4KG is available in the SSL web store and a discount is available for existing UC1 owners, so make sure you head over to your SSL account to redeem your discount code. Thanks for joining me today, and if you want more information on the 4KG or any other SSL product, head over to solidstatelogic.com.